Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. I'm here with two amazing guests today to talk about their new show, The Culture, which has been all over the world. It's been to Broadway, Wellington, and now in Sydney. We have a performer who I'm trying to place in my memory, but we got there, I think, in the end. She is a writer and a performer with a passion for strong female narratives. Her work speaks for women's experiences in the modern world and explores street harassment, domestic violence, online privacy, and fertility. We also have a bilingual Jordanian, Palestinian, Australian, multidisciplinary artist, try saying that 5 times fast, based in Western Sydney. His passion for his career is to create more opportunities to diversify the Australian arts industry and to break barriers for the LGBTQIA plus community and people of colour. Please welcome Laura Jackson and Mina Asfour.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome. I'm so glad for you to come in and talk about your show.
Absolutely. It's exciting to be here.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And so Laura, we were trying to place each other before the podcast started about where we knew each other. It was all the way back in Wollongong.
That's right. I mean, obviously we're getting old because we can't actually remember, but we know that it was when we were in Wollongong and when we were young and budding and, exciting, emerging.
And now here we are at the Powerhouse.
That's right, exactly.
So your show, The Culture, has been all over the world. So Laura, you wrote The Culture.
Yeah, I did. And it's had a pretty exciting journey so far, which has been awesome because there was a previous version of The Culture that I actually did back in Wollongong in 2015. And it was a kind of, now I reflect on it, just like a workshop version because compared to the script now, it's really drastically changed.
Yeah.
But to finally get to, have this international tour going and to have spent the time on the rewrite to get it to the strength of this version has been really awesome. But yeah, that initial version came to me around the time that Rosie Batty was Australian of the Year, and she was talking about her experience, obviously the devastating story of her husband killing her son, and that she was an unlikely victim in that she's very well spoken, she's highly educated, and people listen to her. And she acknowledged the flaws in the fact that was why people listened, but she also acknowledged her platform. And I think a lot of that informed the character of Katie, which is a character that I play, because she falls into this toxic relationship, but you don't expect her to be the one who falls prey to that sort of guy because she is quite outspoken, quite, bright and bubbly. And we have a stigma in terms of the image of what we think a woman who gets into a domestic violence relationship looks like. We have this, we don't think about the fact that actually it transcends race and class and age. It's something that 1 in 3 women experience.
Yeah. It's very prevalent as well at the moment.
That's right.
Exactly. So, I'll say the bio of the show just so we get a bit of context. So, it says, Katie's cheeky, brave, and sensitive. Will is witty and warm with a huge heart, which I'm assuming is your character. Mm-hmm. They're single and maybe a little bit codependent. Together they host a podcast. Great. Mm-hmm. Don't even get me started where they bitch about the fact that they're straight up done. When they're home together, they're safe, they're happy, no one can hurt them. They have everything they need, almost. I like it. Very good. So, Mina, tell me about your involvement with the show.
Yeah, pretty cut and paste. I auditioned for the show. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then did a call back. I thought I did well. And then I got the gig. And here I am.
Riveting. That's great.
No, but I remember reading the script and I was like, is she a stalker? Because I was like, it was very similar to just my life and the way that I speak.
Okay.
And a lot of the time when I was learning my lines, I'm like, that's not the line. Never mind. I'll go back. I'm like, no, it is the line. I'm just making things up in my head, but it's literally the line. So it was very similar to the way I naturally speak. So when I learnt my lines, it was a very easy transition. Yeah, I felt. And yeah, it's been great. I'm loving it.
Yeah, but you weren't on the Broadway leg.
No.
So you've been on the Wellington leg.
Wellington, Adelaide, and next week, Hobart, Sydney, then Melbourne.
Amazing. Yeah. All the good stops.
That's right.
So was it always your dream to take it to Broadway?
Yeah, I met this really great director at NIDA. She only came to work with us, I think, for a week, maybe 2, but I think a week. Anyway, I fell in love with her. I just really, really liked her approach. I felt like she got the best out of me. Sometimes you I don't know. I've worked with directors who I think you make me great, and then directors who I think, oh, in front of you, you don't think I'm good, and therefore I'm not. You know, it becomes self-fulfilling.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we really connected. She was just there for that short time. She was from New York. She went home, and then COVID struck, and the whole industry was on its knees, and I was kind of looking for ways to remain creative, and I was looking for some online classes, and I thought of her, and I thought, oh, I wonder if she's offering classes and I could do them with her. And now the world of online classes really shifted.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where you are.
Definitely.
And so I reached out to her, and yes, she was offering classes in this. She's a Michael Chekhov teacher, so
God,
you know,
Chekhov.
yeah, love that. And she was offering these Michael Chekhov classes, so I started working with her, you know, more regularly, and I really enjoyed that. And then I just asked if she would read a copy of the play, the previous version, the one from 2015. And she read it, and she thought it had, potential. And so then this wasn't even in the kind of seriously I would do it with her directing it. It was just she was a mentor. I wanted her to read it. I thought, she'd be fantastic to direct it. But then we did a few Zoom readings with a few different actors playing the role of Will. And the previous version was quite didactic, and the podcast has come in place of what used to be these direct address monologues to the audience, where they would tell they'd tell their stories, but because they were so because of that, the style, they did feel a little bit on the nose. Right, and now that those same stories have been shifted into a podcast form, it's much more about the banter between the two characters, and they can still tell those stories, but with an increased sense of warmth and friendship. So we then did a few, as I said, Zoom readings, and I got a few mentors to have a listen, got some feedback. Then I worked with, it was important to me because I'm a straight woman and Will is a gay character, to get some advice to build the authenticity into his character.
Yeah.
And so this director, her name's Bethany Caputo, she's a proud lesbian woman. She brought some, mentorship in that space, but then also we brought on a dramaturg who happened to be my master's writing mentor.
Oh, cool.
Catherine Farga, but she's also proudly lesbian woman. And so they were able to, them combined with the number of actors who read that part, were able to kind of help me shape it and mold it and pick up where I thought I was making jokes that were a bit, dumb or whatever. They were able to help me to make it feel just more authentic and researched. Anyway, and then that was sort of just bit by bit, the script started to grow, and then I just said, hey, if I brought it to you, would you direct it? She was like, you're not going to bring it to me kind of way.
Okay.
And then a friend of mine was getting married in the States, so we were going anyway. Both my husband and I were in the groom's party, bridal party, so we were going. And so I said, if I tack it on to the end of my trip, can we make it happen? And she said yes. So
That's
then
great.
we just kind of found a little theatre and hired it, and
out on Broadway.
That's right. Yeah.
The Great White Way.
That's right. Exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Not many people can claim that, so massive props to you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. It was really great to just go, and then after all that time as well, we'd been working so much on Zoom. When we finally got the room together, we were all just. It was pretty awesome. We had 2 weeks of rehearsal. Finally got to be in the room together, and then we did the show. And then she continued on as the director when Mina came on. So we worked with her via Zoom.
Okay.
For 2 weeks. So we need to find a way to get you and Bethany in the same room together, because she helped to bring Mina into this. We had a framework, but Mina brought his own fantastic instincts and character, so then it shifted really dramatically, which is awesome. It's been great both ways, but I've really loved it's kept me fresh and kept me working.
Well, how have you found working with Laura as both actor and playwright? I found,
look, it had its benefits, just because when we were in the room and there were very, I just bit my tongue, of course I did. There were very specific things that I was doing, and it was like, oh no, we're not doing that. I'm like, but why? And she'll be like, well, X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And then we'll continue on. It did not help that I'm like severely dyslexic. Yeah. So I would just like read sentences. I'm like, yeah, that's correct. And Laura's like, Mina, baby boy. That's not how you say the word. I'm like, it is. I know how to read. She's like, no. Let's read it again. I'm like, you are right.
So what he's
Let's do that
saying
again.
is that I was a pain in the ass.
Read between the lines.
No, but you were actually fine on it. Like I preferred that. I remember like the first few episodes, the first few rehearsals. You were like, "Hey man, let's talk," and I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And you're like, "X, Y, Z." I'm like, "Tell me all this from now." So then I don't want a few months in. It's like, "Hey,
Yeah, of course.
there's an issue." I'm like, please don't think like you're like I am the most resilient person in the world. Like, tell me everything now. This is nothing.
Yeah.
But rehearsals were fun. I thought it was going to be the biggest drag just because
Okay.
it was over Zoom.
Yeah.
I remember getting in like,
Yeah.
okay, let's go. It was so easy.
Oh, that's good.
I enjoyed it. Maybe it was just Bethany's energy, but I found it very easy
Yeah.
and fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.